The impact of the Sudan conflict on South Sudan. 550,000 people have now come into South Sudan from Sudan. And we expect that number will continue to grow. Quite frankly, when the conflict started, nobody expected that it would continue and continue and continue and continue with such little impact on the part of the international community to bring it to an end. And so what had originally been thought would be a much lesser impact just continues to grow. And as it grows, it's putting increasing stress on our communities. You will bear in mind that most of certainly the early returnees were South Sudanese. And the understanding was that they would be absorbed by the communities from where they had come. And we have put considerable amount of effort and money, both the international community generally and UNMISS specifically, and notably the UN agencies, funds and programs, in helping move people from Renk, where there's been tremendous congestion, to try and get them down to villages and communities downstream. But, the longer the conflict continues, the more stressed, the less able communities are to absorb newcomers. And it's happening at a time in which the humanitarian food aid pot is growing smaller. And so we are beginning to see signs of tension between the newcomers and the host communities, which are looking after them. So we have been appealing to the international humanitarian community to assist us in being able to deal with the congestion that is happening all along the northern border with Sudan, pointing out that if we can't deal with it, then what is essentially a humanitarian challenge, feeding the people and looking after them as they come into the country, is going to become a security problem if it starts to manifest as fighting between the communities. On the broader level of the spillover of the conflict into South Sudan, we've seen little evidence, but we're conscious of the problem. We have heard indications that there may be recruitment taking place, recruitment by those parties involved in Sudan, recruiting young men and even boys from South Sudan to swell to increase their forces. We're worried that the firearms are going to start drifting into South Sudan. These are not issues that we in UNMISS can readily deal with. We don't maintain the border, we don't maintain customs, but we would be keen to alert communities and the authorities, if we can, to play a helpful role to minimize what could be potentially very disruptive spillover of the conflict, particularly if some of the warring parties in Sudan start to try and link with groups and parties in South Sudan, particularly as the elections get closer.